This is Matthew Shack, and you're listening to The Flow Sports Radio Show, where the NBA Finals are finished, and it's time for us to discuss and talk about what's next. For Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors this coming summer, off season, to get ready for the 2016-2017 season, to return back to prominence as NBA champions. The Golden State Warriors, they really put themselves in a precarious position in regards to next season, because let's just speak quite frankly, the parade should be in Oakland already, if not this week. Cleveland Cavaliers are having their parade today, Wednesday. But Golden State should have had their parade Monday, if not Friday of last week. But that's all ham sandwiches now, and I don't eat ham sandwiches, so we're going to have to talk about what's next. This is what Golden State should do. First, you have to analyze what the problem was and why did they give up a historic 3-1 lead to lose the NBA Finals this year. And it basically comes down to a couple things. First and foremost, let's not get it misunderstood or twisted. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. That is without question. Stephen Curry has one of the top 2 best handles in the game of basketball. That is without question. Steph Curry is the 2-time unanimous MVP of the NBA. That's a fact. And with all that being said, none of that had anything to do with what just went down in Game 7 and the other 6 previous games. Steph Curry had an atrocious final from the point guard position. That is the part of his game that he needs to concentrate on. He doesn't have to concentrate on shooting from beyond half court. He doesn't have to concentrate on being a dynamic player. He doesn't have to concentrate on improving his handle. He damn sure doesn't have to improve on his free throw shooting, because he shot 92% in the finals. He actually shot a percentage point higher than he did in the regular season. What he has to concentrate on is whether or not he should remain the point guard for the Golden State Warriors. Now, this harkens back to when my Philadelphia 76ers had Allen Iverson at the point. This is the best case scenario of what I'm saying. When Allen Iverson was at the point, he was like Curry. He is a scoring point guard. Now, that's good for exciting basketball. That's good for impressive play. That's great for stats. That's great to get MVP and individual accolades. But to win a title, you have to have that primary point guard understanding your job is to get everybody else involved. And you have to make players better. What they have in common, Allen Iverson and Steph Curry, is that they were both dynamic scorers. But neither one of them made anybody better. So the answer, and that is not a pun, even though it should be, the answer was moved to the shooting guard position. Now, in the case of Golden State Warriors, you have a great two guard in Klay Thompson. So you don't want to, on the surface, say, well, what are we going to do with Klay? I'm saying you have to move Klay to the 3 because Golden State needs a primary ball handler who is going to come up there, who's going to call plays. Steph is running around trying to get open anyway. So Draymond is initially, he's playing point forward, kind of like Scottie Pippen. But if you look at those Chicago Bulls teams, especially the team that went 72-10 and 95-96, they always had B.J. Armstrong or John Paxson or somebody whose job was to make sure decisions were made in a proper fashion when you're calling a half-court set. That doesn't happen with Golden State because you have two guys that are the primary ball handlers. Your backcourt are shooters beyond compare. You have the best shooter of all time at your point, and you have the second best shooter in the league at the 2. So what winds up happening is if those guys aren't hitting incredible shots, if they're not doing what you need for them to do offensively and scoring the basketball, then you get yourself into a situation where you have a game 7. Because a person who's a primary point guard is going to understand that if Draymond Green is shooting 5 of 5 in the first half, your first job is to get him the ball. He wound up shooting 6 from 8 from threes. He had 32 points, 11 rebounds, so on and so on. But in the second half, going into the fourth quarter, Draymond didn't even get any shots up because Steph and Klay went into the Steph and Klay Splash Brothers show. And that was a problem. If you look at Kyrie Irving and what he did, he's also a scoring point guard as well. But he had a lot better series in regards to making other people better. He definitely helped make LeBron better in the game 7 by his timely scoring and knowing when to defer to LeBron. Now, LeBron is a front court player. So his whole dynamic, even though he was on the perimeter doing other things, is to open up things for everybody else. That's what Draymond was trying to do. When Draymond would get the ball and they would collapse on Draymond's, I'm going to the rack. He had a bunch of left-handed layups, like pretty much uncontested, because they were like, we're not going to let Steph and Klay beat us. So Draymond went to the rack. If you put Klay at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and you get you a point guard like a Mike Conley, that's like a perfect guy because he can shoot, he's going to make primary decisions, and he's going to make sure that the offense is run effectively and efficiently. Now, I know Golden State right now is talking about getting Dirk Nowitzki. They're talking about trying to throw their hat in the ring to get Kevin Durant. That's wonderful, man. I mean, those two guys are Hall of Famers. To get them on your team would be big. It would be huge. But you're really not improving the team that much because there's only one basketball, and those guys are going to put up shots, which means there's going to be less shots to be put up by somebody else. So who is that going to be? If you get Dirk Nowitzki and you put him at the 4 and you keep the lineup just like how you are now, you put Draymond at 3, Dirk is going to put up shots. How do you tell a guy who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, he's in the top 10 in scoring, he is a world champion on his own, he is a MVP on his own, that he's got to defer to Klay and Steph? You brought him there to do what he does, and what he does is to score. Same with Durant. These guys aren't just going to acquiesce if they come. But that doesn't improve the point guard play. Okay? That's important. Second of all, you guys are going to have to make some trades. You guys are going to have to make some moves. I think Harrison Barnes should be moved. I like Harrison Barnes, but I think you guys can use that money or trade to get some other pieces that you might need. You need size. When Bogut went down, Festus Ezeli is not good enough. You need to have a couple of other bigs. You got Mo Spates, Mo Buckets, but he's out there to do what he does. Hence his name, Mo Buckets. He's not out there to do no dirty work, clean the boards up, and provide a defensive presence for anybody coming into the lane. That's what Bogut does best. So when you lost Bogut, that just opened up the lane for LeBron to act a damn fool, which is what he did. So I would concentrate on trying to get another big. I would concentrate on trying to get a primary point guard of some kind, even if it's a backup point guard. You might not want to initially just flip up the whole lineup, but Golden State was exposed in this final. You understand when you're playing Golden State, your job is to make them work on defense. That's why Steph wasn't hitting his shot, is because he had to work on defense. And you got the boogeyman himself. And I say the boogeyman, Kyrie Irving, dancing all over him. And he's got to keep up with this cat on defense. And then on offense, he's got to run through 95 picks to try to get open. So the way I look at it as, if you put Steph at the 2, you're going to get more effectivity from him as far as shooting, scoring, and doing what he does best, while you have somebody else who's going to make sure everybody else gets involved, because that's Draymond's job. And if Draymond's too busy trying to make everybody else better and standing out there 3-point line extended, elbow extended all the time, you're not going to get any boards. Which is why Kevin Love went in there and snatched 14 rebounds, and it looked like he didn't do nothing the entire game. He was basically just there to get rebounds. That's second chance points, defensive rebounds, short possessions for Golden State and whatnot. So I think that's great. I think that would be the strategy I would suggest. I think Steve Kerr is a great, phenomenal coach. I think that now he'll be there for a full season. I think that kind of hurt things too. And I think that going for the 73-9 record and not resting players came back later. But I understand when you got history looking you in the face, you got to do what you got to do. You got to decide whether or not you guys are going to be immortalized in history or you guys just going to sit back. But I'll tell you, if it was Greg Popovich, he wouldn't have gave a damn about no record. He would have said, I'm resting my players and whatnot. But injuries are a part of the game. It struck the Cleveland Cavaliers last year, and now it struck Golden State. That's just the nature of the beast. So I think the bench play with you guys, with the Warriors, was good in the first few games. But then I think that as the game started getting closer and closer to Game 7, I think that the rotations weren't as crisp as they should have been. I think that players were playing a little bit less than what they should have, and they weren't ready. When they came in, they didn't have the same amount of minutes. So, that just goes with the territory. But like I said last show, I am willing to say that Golden State has the best chance of being the NBA champions at the end of next season. You guys are just too young, too much firepower, and everybody wants to come there and play with Steph and Clay. But I really think that point guard play is critical, and making sure you guys hide Steph on defense, man. He even though he led the league in steals, which is defense, as far as on ball defending, and you got to deal with the likes of Russell Westbrook. You got to deal with the likes of Tony Parker, even though he's in his later years, he still got some speed and wheels. And you got Damian Lillard, Dame Dollar's no joke. And then you got Chris Paul, that whole Western Conference, and, James Harden, but, James don't play no defense, but that's neither here nor there. But I think that if you guys can get those pieces together and, keep your core together, I think you guys will be just chilling there again next year. So that's what needs to happen. It was a phenomenal season for Golden State, but at the end of the day, You guys just didn't have enough to hold off the inevitable in regards to LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and those little bug injuries that happen. So that's what needs to happen. Get you a point guard, man. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a Darren Collison. I don't care who it is. You just need somebody to come in and at the very least spell Steph and let Steph move over to the 2. Then you're deadly because Klay Thompson at the 3, man, he's gonna be killing people at the 3. Okay, Steph's gonna be killing people at the 2. And if you guys are able to land a Kevin Durant and you guys are able to land a Dirk Nowitzki, more power to you. But I really think your primary goal is to get some bigs and to get a point guard. So until then, game on. Game on.